Hey everyone, today we're leveling up from basic partial derivatives to higher order partial derivatives. These are just partial derivatives taken multiple times. Think of them as asking, how does the slope change, of the slope? These notations are commonly used in partial differential equations. Higher order partial derivatives are like taking multiple layers of derivatives. For example, a third order mixed derivative means we first differentiate with respect to x, then y, then x again. That's why we call it fxyx. Let's solve this mixed partial derivative step by step, and I'll show you why the order matters. Let's find fx. We start by moving a tiny bit along the x-axis from 0, 0. We'll call this small move h. At this new spot, the function simplifies to 0 because multiplying by 0 kills everything. Now, divide 0 by our tiny move, h. 0 divided by anything? Still 0, so the slope here is 0. Let's find the partial derivative with respect to y at the point 0, 0. Here's how it works. We start by moving a tiny bit along the y-axis from 0, 0. We'll call this small move, h. The derivative is the change in the function's value divided by this tiny move. Now, let's evaluate the function at 0, h. The numerator becomes 0 because we're multiplying by 0, so the whole term collapses to 0. Now, divide 0 by our tiny move, h. 0 divided by anything is still 0. So, the derivative at 0, 0 is 0. Let's find how this function twists at the origin. Here's the intuition. First, the slope along the x-axis is flat, 0. But if we nudge up the y-axis to 0, h, the x-slope becomes downhill, h. The number -1 tells us that as we move upward from 0, 0, the slope in the x direction twists clockwise, like turning a knob to the right. We're seeing how the sideways y slope changes as we move right from 0, 0. Divide the slope change, h, by our tiny step, h equals 1. The number 1 tells us the slope twists counterclockwise as we move right. We're testing if the x slope changes as we move right from 0, 0. 0 change divided by any step, h, is always 0. The x direction is completely flat, no bending at all. Let's measure how the slope changes as we move right from 0, 0. Completely flat, slope equals 0. Change in slope, 0 to 0, divided by our tiny step h gives. After working through the calculations, here's what we discovered at 0, 0. If this helped, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome day. See you in the next video.